Yo guys, what's up? It's Ben from Fam Odigus, and I'm here to do another Geography Now reaction video. Last time I did Armenia, and in the spirit of whoever's coming in here, get out of here because I'm doing a video. Okay, as I was saying, in the spirit of Oktoberfest and my love of my heritage of Germany, we are doing Geography Now, Germany. So let's jump right in. And sorry for the ads. I'll just skip it.
All right. Lederhosen Schnitzel beer, Bratwurst order bread and beer, complicated history beer, no humor, EDM, and gummy bears that will kind of like give you diarrhea, but it's like worth it.
Okay. Out of that first one part, no way. For one thing, Haribo does not give you diarrhea, or at least it doesn't me. I don't know about you, but hey, everybody's bodies are different. The diarrhea thing is a bit of an over-exaggeration. And no humor? Seriously? Are you kidding me? My brother is German, and he is funny. We're all German. Be it low German, but still. And beer, yeah, I have to admit, my dad loves his beer, although I'm not a big fan. And bratwurst are delicious.
Ugh, these are such horrible stereotypes that every German is so sick and tired of hearing.
Now that is really true.
Want a gummy bear? It's time to learn geography.
Yeah, their intro is actually pretty nice. I like it that they I like the fact that they changed it, that animal that says now, up every once in a while. It's really fun. Although that lady in the corner, probably the ugliest. She doesn't have a good, nice look in her eye, let's just say that.
Ow! Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbie. So we've...
Barbie? Are you kidding me? That is totally against the Barbie doll copyright.
Conquered Belgium's castle, jumped through Denmark's lagoon, danced through France's forest, and now we've made it to the final boss of the EU, Kingpin Germany.
Yep, it has the biggest economy, so it is king.
Level 1, begin. Ah, you know why I'm smiling. Yep, Germany has a lot of territorial anomalies. We'll get into that in a little bit, but first, Germany is located in central Western Europe, bordered by 9 other countries. Don't forget little Luxembourg, with small coasts on the...
Yeah. Little Luxembourg, you should never forget him. Now, his language is actually quite close to German. I find it nice. Specifically Low German, which is the kind that I love. It's also known as Plattdeutsch.
The North and Baltic Seas, which they own about 50 small islands. Now, Germany, like the US, is a federal republic which has 16 smaller states, or Bundesländer.
My family is from the Niedersachsen Bundesländer. That's the one really close to the sea, right under Schleswig-Holstein.
Each with its own constitution, 3 of which are cities, the capital Berlin, Hamburg, and Bremen.
Then my family actually migrated from out of the port at Bremen to the United States a long time ago.
Which is actually kind of like 2 cities, including Bremerhaven on the coast, but they kind of act like one entity. Fun side note, Lower Saxony is actually geographically situated further north than regular Saxony.
Yeah, the reason it's called Lower Saxony is because it's lower in elevation.
Now let's jump into the fun stuff. Now, we already discussed the Jungholz Quadrupoint and the Vennbahn railway enclaves with Belgium and Austria. However, there's a few more. The entire town of Bussingen am Hochrhein is surrounded by Switzerland, whereas part of the Konstanz is cut off by the Rhine River and surrounded by Switzerland. However, immediately across the river, a small patch of empty land on the German side actually belongs to
Now that's fair. Treating a patch of land, that's good.
Switzerland. Finally, they split the island of Usedom with Poland in the north. Germany is interesting because every state in the country has its own distinct culture, dialect, history, food, traditions. I mean, Bavaria.
Yeah, Bavaria is very different from Lower Saxony. Very different in the languages. Anybody who's ever tried to translate an old Low German newspaper knows that. Trust me, I've tried. The Bavarian language of High German is way different. It's, like, impossible. Not mutually intelligible at all. It's like trying to translate German into English. I mean, you got a few things, like, everybody knows that der Mann is the man. But it's not really.
Areas will be quite drastically different from Schleswig-Holsteiners. Mecklenburg-Vorpommern will be different from Saarland. This all has to do with ancient and recent history. Basically, in the quickest way I can summarize this, Germanic tribes, Roman wars, Charlemagne, 3 kingdoms, this guy marries an Italian, creating a whole new mess called the Holy...
Yeah, the holy mess of empires. That thing is not holy, not Roman, and not an empire. Its whole name is a lie. That's one of the reasons that it never worked. Plus, it's like it has a lot of feudal states inside of it, which is not really a recipe for a good a good country. I mean, it worked for the United States to have separate entities inside of it, but that's because the states are actually not legally allowed to go to war. Those, on the other hand, not so much.
The Roman Empire made up of 300 smaller separate kingdoms, states, and dukedoms, which had nothing to do with Romans. Teutonic Knights, Brandenburgs became Prussia, Habsburgs became Austrian.
Yeah, Habsburgs. If you know anything about European history, you know that these guys dominated. They're one of the few monarchies that actually pretty much controlled the entire Europe at points in history. I mean, their family is huge, but they sort of intermarried a lot, so they got a lot of weird things, like crazy noses and tons of diseases, so I wouldn't suggest marrying a Habsburg, if you know what I mean.
Lithuanians and Poles made their own thing, whereas the Hungarians joined the Austrians. Wars, battles. Napoleon comes over and messes everything up. And finally, German nationalism surges, and in 1871, Otto von Bismarck creates the first proto-German unified state. And then they're all like, oh dang, we came late to this game. We gotta scramble for some colonies. And that's how all of these countries...
Yep. My former country just had those tiny colonies. Seriously. You can do better, Germany.
At one point spoke German. Oh, and also keep in mind, like 300 years before this, a German banking company obtained colonial rights to Venezuela for like 20 years. They were looking for the lost city of El Dorado. So technically, you can kind of say Germans colonized the Americas, but it wasn't like a nationalized conquest thing. Fast forward even more, and then you get World War I, the monarchy ends, Treaty of Versailles, they lose land, Nazis come in, World War II.
Okay, the Nazis. I hate them. Nazis are not good. No Germans today like Nazis. So would people quit saying that all Germans are Nazis? It drives me crazy. I don't want to make this entire video an extended rant, but anyway, German does not equal Nazi. There are tons of Germans that were against the Nazis, including myself. Even though I wasn't alive when the Nazis were alive. But my grandpa was. Sort of.
Germany splits in two for about 40 years.
Yeah, my family is mostly in the western half.
left. And then finally, we get the Germany we have today. East Germany, consisting of these states, is today still quite different from the rest of Germany as it was first occupied and influenced by the Soviet Union. They are generally not as well off economically as the rest of the country, as you can still see the blocky Soviet-style buildings sprawled throughout the regions. In fact, the city of Berlin was split in half, and the west side was actually an enclave of West Germany, only accessible by train and highway. You can even see from a satellite image the divide. East Berlin still uses the yellowish tinted sulfur vapor light bulbs, whereas the west still uses fluorescent and mercury arc white tinted light bulbs. Now the funny thing is, although Berlin is the largest city in Germany, the busiest airports are actually Frankfurt, Munich, Dusseldorf, with Berlin Tegel ranking at number 4. Otherwise, some top notable landmarks and spots would be the Brandenburg Gate, the Valhalla, Cologne Cathedral, the Ulminster Church, the tallest in the world, the Berlin Victory Column, and hundreds of castles all over. The most notable one probably being Neuschwanstein, the concept behind Disney's Cinderella Castle. Germany also has over 400 zoos.
That Willkommen means welcome, just so you know.
More than any other country in the world. And of course, everybody knows about the Autobahn, the highway system in which if you see this sign, it means there's no speed limit. And it's like that for a huge portion of the roadway. And no wonder, considering how vast and wide those cultivated countrysides can get. Time for level 2. Okay, think of it this way. In Germany, the more down you go, the more up you move. Basically, Germany lies on the Atlantic shelf in the north that starts with the mudflats in the North Sea. Seriously, this island right here is accessible only for a few hours by foot until the tide comes and floods everything. Then everything just kind of creeps up into the Alps in the south by Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, with the highest mountain, Zugspitze, located right along the border with Austria. Kind of like France, Germany is filled with a vast irrigating network of rivers like the Spree, Elbe.
And we even made a canal that connected the Rhine to the Danube, and also the main river, but that's just an extra little thing, but anyway.
Weser, Rhine, and of course, the mighty Danube that starts here. About a third of the land is arable, and another third is woodland, and after a millennia of civilization, Germans have cultivated the crap out of their country. Most agriculture, of course, happens in the North Flat Plains, and
I'm not a big fan of the term, that he used, the CRAP, but,
in the central regions of the country, which is, by the way, kind of like Europe's tornado alley. Due to its position sandwiched between the Arctic blasts of Scandinavia and the moist, warm jet streams of the Mediterranean below, Germany can be an atmospheric war zone in the summer. There are more tornadoes on average in Germany than any other country in Europe. Speaking of flat farmland, Germany is the world's largest rye and hop producer. Germans abso-freaking-lutely love their bread.
yes, I do. I love my bread, but I do not love the term freaking.
There are over 300 different kinds of bread in the country, more types than any other country in the world, and almost every meal incorporates some kind of slice or small bun or Brötchen of bread. Hast du gluten-free? Nein! Germans are...
Yes, 9. No gluten-free. I loved my gluten.
Heavy meat eaters, specifically in pork. They basically know every possible way to cook a pig.
Yummy. Pig. Personally, I'm a Billy Baked Chicken and cow fan too, but pig is delicious. Although, they could be a little less fatty.
50 different types of sausage exist alongside schnitzels, rouladen, sauerbraten, Schweinsachse, and at a big party you might find Spanferkel. Beer reigns supreme all over as the third largest consumers of beer after the Czech Republic. Even their president has no problem with public intoxication. And
yeah, I sort of wish that wouldn't happen.
Austria. Germany is world-renowned for their beer, which, by the way, follows the Reinheitsgebot rule in which they are only allowed to use water, hops, malt, and sometimes yeast. Nonetheless, about 1,300 breweries exist, pumping out over 5,000 brands. The oldest continuously existing brewery in the world, started by Benedictine monks in 1040 AD, can be found here. Germany takes the environment very seriously, and for the past 2 decades has been going on a major green revolution.
And along with Germany, my family's hometown of Minster has been going on a green revolution too, which I really like. I mean, the people over there in Minster who are German are actually, how do you say, smart. Unlike some of the idiotic officials in Anna, not the current ones, they're actually quite lovely, but the dumb ones that decided that we shouldn't buy air conditioning for the middle school. I mean, we're sweating like hogs in there. But anyway, they really should have bought air conditioning in that high school long ago. Plus, I mean, maybe a windmill or two. Something to actually make energy. I don't know. Considering how strong the winds can get during the winter. And
as of today, they have the largest installed solar power capacity, and green infrastructure practices like home installed turbines and solar panels have seen a huge surge in the past 10 years. Forests dominate the southern region.
Yeah, it's not just Germany. All German peoples do that pretty much. I mean, they heavily influenced Münster, which is also a German town. Oh.
Where the landscape gets hillier and mountainous, the most famous one being the Black Forest or the Schwarzwald.
They even have their own type of ham in the Black Forest. It's delicious.
Baden-Württemberg. Deer, bears, boar, foxes, badgers, and the national animal, the eagle, can be found thriving in these parts. Nonetheless, economically, Germany is known mostly for their exceptional engineering and industry production. Companies we've all heard of like Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Audi, Telekom, Nivea, DHL, Bosch, Adidas, Puma, Adidas, Puma! Yeah, it's kind of like the whole Biscoito Bolacha thing from Brazil. Remember? Well, we have mudflats, tornadoes...
I really don't care when it comes to that. I don't choose a side on Adidas versus Puma.
Pork, beer, mountains, all that's missing is people. Level 3.
Okay, this is where he gets a little controversial, I guess. I mean, how he describes the Lower Saxons, not too nice.
Fun little side note, in Germany, this is 3, not this. Now, if the EU was a family, Germany would kind of be like the dad who got out of rehab, reconciled with his wife and kids, and is taking his new life very seriously as he is haunted by the demons of his past every day.
Yeah. I am constantly told that I'm a Nazi when I mention that I am from Germany. I do not like Nazis. I am constantly haunted by that demon.
First of all, the country has about 82 million people and is the most populated in the EU.
Now, Germany might have the most ethnically German people, well, that identify as German, but there are a lot of people in the United States that are actually German. They just don't identify it because they don't want to be labeled as a Nazi. For example, the entire Midwest is predominantly German, actually, but there are only certain parts that actually show their German heritage and raise it high, like Münster, which has many German bars, including the Oak Tree. Used to be owned by my uncle.
Second most in Europe after Russia, and has the 4th largest nominal GDP in the world. About 80% of the country
largest in Europe
identifies as ethnically German, 12% other Europeans, mostly Polish, Italian, Dutch, and so on. Turks make up about 3.5%, Asians at 2%, and the rest are...
And I bet you some of the other Europeans is probably the Low Saxons and the Dutch, which actually love to live in Germany. I actually have a few Dutch ancestors, too.
Are made up of other groups like Africans and Americans. Also, they use the euro, they use the C and F type outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Germany is without a doubt a global powerhouse. It is the strongest economy in the EU and makes up about 16% of the Union's population. It's the 3rd largest exporter and importer of goods in the world. After the United States, Germany is also the 2nd most popular global migration destination. Germany experiences a high standard of living, tuition-free universities, if you get accepted, that is, a mostly government...
Yeah, I really wish the United States had tuition-free universities. That'd just make things a lot easier.
Government-subsidized universal healthcare system, about a quarter is still privatized.
Sorry about that. Stupid phone. Well, anyway. Germany sounds a lot more pleasant than the United States when it comes to the... United States is just out of the loop.
And state pension for retirement at age 65. Now, when it comes to language, things get a little tricky. Each state kind of has their own type of German. However, to get by, most Germans learn how to speak Hochdeutsch, or High German, which is the standard dialect. The European...
Other dialects include pretty much one for every state, and Low German for Schleswig-Holstein, in Niedersachsen, and Hanover, in Bremen, and Bremenhaven, and Hamburg. a lot of people.
The Charter, however, protects the minority languages of Frisian, Danish, Romani, Sorbian, which is like a Slavic-based language used along the Czech-Polish border, and Plattdeutsch, or
Low German. That's Plattdeutsch. And Frisian is actually closely related to English, which makes it sort of intelligible to both Plattdeutsch and English, in fact. In fact, Frisian came from Plattdeutsch, which came from Deutsch, or German. And English came from Frisian. You see a pattern here?
Low German, which has similarities to Dutch and is typically used by the Amish and Mennonite communities across the world.
This is the part I hate. I am not Amish or Mennonite. I am just a regular Roman Catholic. I'm not Protestant either. Everybody assumes that Germany is a Protestant nation that has some crazy low German Plattdeutsch speaking Mennonites and Amish people. Not all of them are Mennonite. I personally am Roman Catholic, and that's quite common in Westphalia and many parts of Lower Saxony, or Niedersachsen.
The world. In terms of regional distinctions, though, Germany is kind of divided into 5 cultural areas: Rhineland, East and Middle Deutschland,
North Germany. That's where I'm from. That's the Low Saxon area. And then, of course, a little bit of my ancestry is from Group 3.
North Deutschland, Baden-Württemberg, and Bavaria. Rhineland is on the west side and has a culture somewhat more influenced by France, more Catholics. Carnival celebrations are huge out here.
Yeah, that's part of the Catholic thing.
East and Middle Germany was the part that used to be its own country for 40 years, as it was influenced by the Soviets. Sorbians can also be found here too. Northern Germany has a coastal sea culture that identifies closer with Denmark and the Netherlands.
For me, it's mostly the Netherlands, because I'm from the Westphalia region, which is like right at the crossroads between the North Germany, Rhineland, and Denmark, and the Dane. Sorry. And the Netherlands, sorry.
They're also known for being kind of quiet and reserved. Baden-Württemberg.
Not always. I can be quiet and reserved, but I'm probably the only one in my family.
Berg has an interesting Swabian culture where they speak a dialect so thick that only about 40% of it is intelligible to other Germans. And then you have Bavaria, which is where the Americanized, perpetuated stereotypes about Germany came from, with lederhosen, dirndls, half-timber, beer houses, and cuckoo clocks. For the record, Germans are sick of those stereotypes. It's like saying all Americans are cowboys with guns and horses.
Exactly. That is exactly true. And yes, I am a German subscriber, but I did not tell him that.
Speaking of stereotypes, some of the stereotypes in Germany include things like Saxons being very indecisive, Berliners are always bragging about themselves, Swabians are stingy, Bavarians drink too much, Hessians talk too much, Holsteiners don't talk enough, and so on. Words differ from regions too. For example, in High German, you would say Auf Wiedersehen, but in Bavarian, you would say Fiat die Gott. In Kölsch, you would say Tschüss, and in Rhineland, you might say Adios. And there's so many compound words that get really long and complicated, like Rindfleisch, Etikettierungs-, Überwachungsaufgaben, Übertragungsgesetz. This is because...
Wait. Back up a minute.
In Rhineland, you might say Ajus. And there's so many compound words that get really long and complicated, like Rindfleisch, Etikettierungs-, Überwachungsaufgaben, Übertragungsgesetz.
Come on, I just missed it.
Übertragungsgesetz.
I wanted to try to say that. Can I just...
And complicated, like Rindfleisch, Etikettierungs-, Überwachungsaufgaben, Übertragungsgesetz.
Okay, let's see if I can say that. Rindfleisch, Etikettierungs-, Überwasch- und Sachen geben Übertragungsgesetz, which is technically not a word anymore, apparently.
This is because many words are merkwürdig, or ambiguous words, that are kind of elongated to give off an extensive meaning. Germans have very vivid imaginations and make up words for everything. Like my favorite word, Backpfeifengesicht. Not this time. By the way, for the record, this letter makes a double S sound. However, spelling reformers have tried to decrease the usage of this letter.
Yeah, I'm not a spelling reformer. I really like that letter.
In recent years, which has led to some protests. Germans also love dubbing everything from foreign media into German. Some like this, some don't, but either way, it's here to stay. About 60% of the country identifies, at least nominally, as Christians, split between Protestants and Catholics. Germany was even the birthplace of the Protestant Reformation, split from the Catholic Church by Martin Luther. Otherwise, the rest are mostly agnostic or irreligious, with a noticeable community of Muslims, mostly from the huge Turkish and Middle Eastern communities, at about 5%, as well as a few Jews, Buddhists, and Hindus rounding up the remainder 1%. To kind of get a feel of what it's like to be German, you kind of have to understand where they've come from. After World War II, they kind of had a lot of work to do. However, it wasn't until the mid-50s and early 60s that the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic wonder, happened, to which almost everybody got to work. Basically, this guy envisioned and implemented a social market economy combined with free market capitalism alongside socialist policies that established fair competition in a welfare state. GDP increased by 80%, investments by 120%, labor forces were utilized to the maximum. Things started to get better. In Germany, all children are corralled into general public schools until age 10, when they are given the option to enroll in 3 different types of middle schools. Gymnasium, geared towards focusing on higher linguistic, mathematic, and science fields for universities. Realschule, a middle ground type of school. And Hauptschule, a school that is geared towards helping kids that seem to show promise in specific vocation or trades. Germany also has the largest music market in the EU.
I really don't know which one I would choose.
EU, and the 3rd in the world after the US and Japan. They love preserving their heritage and culture through music and art. In fact, there are around 130 national orchestras, mostly supported by public money, and artists get a 50% reduction in health insurance through a special type of offer in the legal system. One thing that still kind of supposedly maintains itself in Germany is the mindset of Vergangenheitsbewältigung. Totally butchered that, which kind of translates to a lingering sense of guilt from the past. Germans have reportedly some of the lowest levels of national pride, and unless if you're at a soccer game, chances are you will almost never...
Well, that is true in regular Germany. I have a lot of national pride.
Never see anyone holding a German flag or waving it in any kind of, patriotic setting. It's weird, but it's kind of how things are. You monster! They've made great strides to move on from the past. Nazi flags and Mein Kampf are incredibly illegal items to own in Germany, and they even have a rule, the Volksverhetzung, which basically says you cannot talk trash by denying the past atrocities. Some people say this infringes on free speech, others say it's good because it solidifies truth. Otherwise, some notable Germans throughout history include Charlemagne, although he was a Frank, but I guess it kind of counts. Albrecht, Dürer, David Friedrich, Gutenberg, Bach, Beethoven, Karl Benz, Albert Einstein, although Americans would like to claim that he moved to the US and became an American, Johannes Kepler, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Friedrich Schiller, Michael Schumacher, Alex von Humboldt, and of course Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels co-founded Marxism. But one thing Germans do best would have to be diplomacy. To this day, the German passport holds the most visa-free nations out of any other country in the world, just beating Sweden.
Now, I really am just unsure about this, because they have said that Finland has the most visa-free passports too, which is sort of confusing. Which one is it, Barbie? Huh?
Therefore, you can kind of conclude that Germany kind of knows how to relate to people. Let's find out how in the final round, level 4. Germany knows how to make friends. They have over 220 diplomatic missions abroad and over 350 honorary consuls, and have an incredibly high position of authority in the EU. Their closest African friend would probably be Namibia. As a former German colony way back in the 19th century, Namibia held on relations, and to this day, German is still a recognized language in Namibia. Germans have been supporting and sharing ties both economically and ideologically for over a century. India and South Korea are really close friends in Asia. India supported both East and...
And probably another reason they are such big friends is because they're all such large powers. They all have giant economies.
And West Germany during the Cold War, and after reunification, they were like, woohoo, even better! And Germany is to South Korea what Japan is to France. They love to piggyback off of each other's ideas and cultures, especially in the automotive industry. Many South Koreans were sent to Germany after the Korean War to work abroad and study, and Germans have been growing in fascination with visiting South Korea. The US is probably the closest ally outside of the EU. About 30% of Americans claim German heritage.
Yeah, 30% claim. The amount that actually has it, probably closer to 90. Just a guess by the way.
And after World War II, the Marshall Plan allowed the U.S. to give post-war aid to Germany, which helped kickstart the economic recovery. Germany was a key figure in the formation of the State of Israel after World War II, which after the Holocaust left an obligation to invest in the building up of a Jewish community. Turkey is probably the closest Middle Eastern ally, as the Turks make up the largest Asian demographic in Germany, although many of them may or may not also identify as Kurds. But since Kurds don't have a state of their own, they usually go under Turkish passports when immigrating and are documented as such. Their best friends, however, would probably be literally all their neighbors. The thing is, Germany is kind of like Bosnia and Herzegovina, in which, by default, they kind of get friends based off of the regional alliances. Bavarians get along with Austrians, Baden-Württembergs get along with Switzerland, East Germany has good relations with the Slavic countries, the Rhine states love Belgium, Luxembourg, and France, and the North side loves the Netherlands and Denmark. France, though, is kind of like the trophy wife of Germany, as the two have had an angry start, but then eventually fell in love and worked together beautifully. France is like the beautiful...
Yeah. Let's just say that France and Germany have had about as many wars as France and England. Or, really, France and any other state. France gets into a lot of trouble with its neighbors.
Beautiful, flashy spokesperson for the EU that stands in the spotlight as Germany stands in the background, managing all the money and logistical work. In conclusion, although Germanic peoples have existed for thousands of years, an actual unified German state didn't appear until kind of recently, and the brief time that they've been around, they've kind of gone through some of the most intense, world-revolutionizing historical events possibly imagined. Yet, they've come out working hard and building their way up to become a world superpower. You gotta give it to them. There's something about the Germans. And with that, final boss level complete. Stay tuned. Another African state Germany has ties to, Ghana, is coming up next.
Okay. This is the final end of the video, and what I find odd is they have that weird symbol up there for, subscribe to, for some reason. I don't know what that symbol means, but it's not the one that they use for their logo. I can tell you that. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and comment, whatever you want to do. Watch another video. I don't know. Bye.